Okay, now moving on. Let me get to this because this has been extremely frustrating for me, and I feel like that I've been a voice crying in the wilderness. Many of my Republican and or conservative colleagues or constitutional restorationists may disagree with me on this issue. But here's the deal. All right, so Kevin McCarthy is supposed to become Speaker of the House, or is likely to become Speaker of the House for the Republican Party. Okay. But he faces still, he hasn't gotten to 218 votes, and that's due to the Freedom Caucus. So a lot of Republicans are pissed. They're turning against the Freedom Caucus. Even Trump and Donald Trump Jr. said, hey, Kevin McCarthy is our guy. And I really do appreciate that from the Trumps, because they're telling you that they believe that they can work with Kevin McCarthy. Here's the problem. If Trump gets reelected in 2024, and personally, I hope he does, but if he gets reelected in 2024 and he becomes the president of the United States again, he gets 4 years. And after 4 years, he's done. All right. So that leaves you and I to fight, and maybe DeSantis or maybe someone else. I don't know. Or maybe Democrats will win again. We have no clue. So what we need to do is make sure that we, the people, get empowered. And we saw that Mitch McConnell has already sold us down the house. Complete and utter sellout. All right. He gave us judges. Kudos. He did his job. All right. So he did his job as senator, and he made sure that we had conservative justices. You have to give him some credit for making sure that Merrick Garland didn't become a Supreme Court justice, because look at the guy in the DOJ. He's an utter disaster. So I give Mitch McConnell credit for doing his job and standing firm then. But now he's standing firm against us, against we, the people. This guy has sold us out on so many fronts that is unbelievable. The last being this omnibus bill, $1.7 trillion, when the nation is already $31 trillion in debt, and also handcuffing the incoming House Republican leadership or House Republican Party, period. So I'm not as mad about this holdout from the Freedom Caucus. Actually, I'm not mad at all. I'm asking them to hold the line until they get the concessions that they think are necessary. And I'm going to give you some of them, because you even have Newt Gingrich out there. And I love Newt Gingrich, but he's saying that the Republican Party is on a kamikaze mission. Now, I will say this again. I love Newt Gingrich, but remember, he was one that was out saying, and I know he's a brilliant mind, so please, and I would love to interview him. Don't get me wrong. I know he's a brilliant mind. But remember, he was one saying, as was I, the Republican Party needs to come out, well, not as much as you, with like a contract for America, what they need to, what they intend to offer. And they did, but it was so boring. It was so vague. It couldn't catch. It wouldn't catch in today's, era of media with social media. You need sound bites. And we need to know exactly what you meant, even in a soundbite, what you wanted to do. Make the economy strong. Okay. Doesn't everyone want to do that? I know the left doesn't, but isn't that what everyone would say? I mean, it was just weak. It was weak. And so I'm sorry, we're fighting in a different era today. We all thought we were going to win in 2022. We thought it was going to be a red wave. It was a freaking red ripple. And unfortunately, we the people have continued to lose power and oftentimes cede power to these politicians in Washington, D.C. And I'm sick and tired of it. It's amazing to me. We always blame the politicians, but sometimes we, the voters, are the problem too. Do you want to have power or not? That's what the Freedom Caucus is fighting for. And they are getting bashed like nobody's business. You can't turn on. I don't care what state. I don't care if you turn on Fox. I don't care if you turn on Newsmax. I don't care. You can't turn on anything. You can't turn on talk radio. And I'm not bashing. I love my conservative homeboys, but you can't even talk on talk radio and hear an argument seemingly for the Freedom Caucus withholding their vote from Kevin McCarthy, because the argument is nothing can get done in the House. We can't even pick committee chairs. Everything is chaotic. And I agree. We need order in the House. We need unity in the House. That's what a lot of people argue. And I totally understand that. Newt Gingrich says that the House Republicans are on a kamikaze mission. Haven't we been on a kamikaze mission for like a couple of decades now? You tell me when. Okay, here. Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump. We were on a kamikaze mission everywhere in between. everywhere in between. Now we're on a comic. Hell no. I'm sorry. I think they should continue to fight, and I think they should hold the line. Here's what they're doing. Here's what they want. Here's what they want. Because no one's telling you what they're fighting for. We need unity. Oh my God. We're not going to have the chair. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Shut up. And I'm not saying that stuff isn't important, but here's what we know is going to happen. Kevin McCarthy, I believe, is going to become the speaker, but they should get all the concessions they can because they're fighting for us. Oh, these 5 members, oh, these 9 members, oh, these 14 members, or whatever the number is. They're fighting for you, and you should want your power back. Here's what they're fighting for. The most controversial of the rules reforms sought by the House Freedom Caucus under its chairman, Representative Scott Perry, Republican from Pennsylvania, kudos, bringing back the motion to vacate the chair, thus forcing a new vote for a Speaker of the House. This was a late addition by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to the package that was made public late on the 1st of January. McCarthy reversed his previous opposition to restoring the motion during a conference call with House Republicans. So he restored the motion, or he reversed his previous opposition to restoring the motion. So if you listen to talk radio, if you listen to television, what you'll hear is, okay, this motion to vacate, this is so rare, this hasn't happened, and God knows how long. All right, listen to this. Listen to this. That motion, which empowers a single member of the House at any time to propose a vote for a new Speaker of the House, was in effect for virtually the entire history of the Congress. The entire history of the Congress, but it was dropped after Democrats regained the House majority in 2018. Why wouldn't Kevin McCarthy want that back? That's the question. That's the question. I'm starting to wonder. We always complain about the Republicans being weak-kneed. What if it's us? What if it's us, the voters? What if we're the little punks? For God's sakes, the new rule restores the one-member motion, but adds a requirement that there be at least 4 co-sponsors. So they got to be at least 4 co-sponsors. Listen to this. I bet you forgot all about this because I certainly did. The last time the motion was used was in 2015 when then Representative Mark Meadows, remember Mark Meadows that came to be the chief of staff for Trump? The last time it was used was in 2015 under Mark Meadows. He did it and forced the removal of Speaker John Boehner. We were all for it then, but we're not now, right? Why? Because media is telling us that? Because other conservatives and Republicans that haven't done their homework are telling you that? Guys, we need to be empowered. And I'm proud of what the Freedom Caucus is doing. What they are doing is courageous because not only are the left turning against them, but Republicans, conservatives, constitutionalists, so-called, are turning against them. McCarthy's reversal on the motion to vacate came as he struggled to collect enough votes. Obviously, he needs to get to 218 votes. Here's another something that McCarthy is promising. And this is good because I think the Freedom Caucus is bringing it out of him. And that is, as part of his speaker campaign to make greater use of the Constitution's, listen to this, grant to the House in article. The Constitution's grant to the House in article. In Article 1, I'm sorry. Of the power to originate all federal spending. That provision provides the House with great leverage against the Senate, against the president, leverage that House conservatives have for years urged Republican leaders to use more frequently. We've ceded all of this power that the House of Representatives has with spending to the Senate and to the president. We're trying to get it back. They're trying to get it back. And Leader McCarthy said he wants to do this. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. As far as funding rules, here's something else they're fighting for. The new package of rules includes restoration of a requirement that any federal tax rate increase is approved by at least 3/5 of the House, as well as restoration of the cut-go rule. The cut-go rule requires any mandatory federal spending increase be offset with a cut in other requiring expenditures. That's what Trump did, and requires the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, to report on the inflationary impact of proposed legislation. All right. The package also restores the Holman Rule. What is the Holman Rule? I didn't know. An off again provision dating to the post-Civil War era that enables Congress to terminate funding the salary and benefits of a particular individual civil servant in the executive branch. God, we don't want that to happen. This is simple stuff. I think Kevin McCarthy should be like, oh, heck yeah, we're going to do that. Return the House to the people. Oh, heck yeah. Make it where these freaking people come into the White House and different positions in the executive branch and get this big paycheck, destroy the country like Pete Buttigieg, and they continue to get paid. Oh man, you know what type of you know what happened? The people that only want to be in Washington to serve the people would be there in either party. In either party. Americans for Tax Reform President Grover Norquist told the Epoch Times, quote, the Republican caucus will adopt 2 rules that will stop much of the bleeding and begin to turn America around. First, any tax hike will require a 3/5 vote. That's not a simple majority vote to pass the House. Second, any increase in entitlement spending must be matched with an equal or greater reduction in entitlement spending. What is wrong with that? Nothing. In preparing for the expected onslaught of oversight investigations, particularly for the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, formerly known as Oversight and Reform, and the House Judiciary Committee, the new rules require every House panel with oversight authority to make public an oversight plan no later than March. What's wrong with that? Another thing that the House wants, or the Freedom Caucus wants, pandemic rules drop regarding the issue of reopening the House to the public. You know, the Congress is open to the public for the first time in 3 years now. So regarding the issue of reopening the House to the public, the rules do away with the proxy voting system instigated by Nancy Pelosi in March of 2020 in response to the pandemic. The new rules also restore the longstanding requirement that House members be physically present. And to his credit, Leader McCarthy is asking for some of this stuff too, to participate in committee. They're just, the Freedom Caucus is just holding his feet to the fire, making sure he keeps his word. What's wrong with that? And getting some concessions. What's wrong with that? If it's going to empower us, I told you before, if you listen to this podcast, it's ruler's law or people's law. If it's ruler's law, we got a bunch of dictators. If it's people's law, it's a democratic republic. We're in charge again. What's wrong with that? Nothing. And we're bashing the Freedom Caucus. God, we deserve to be run over. We deserve to be run over sometimes. Oh, infuriates me. So again, the new rules also restore the longstanding requirement that House members be physically present to participate in committee hearings rather than attending virtually. All right. They can't get away with not coming to town. Also gone are Pelosi's mandated mask wearing by representatives and staff on the floor and in the Capitol complex, as well as fines for members who don't go through metal detectors before entering the House chamber. What's wrong with that? Guys, we're in for a battle to save this country, to restore this country, frankly. And we can't assume that the people in the Republican Party are always on our side or have our best interests at heart. The Freedom Caucus does. And so I'm going to back them. And they're going to be called names. I'm going to be called names. I'm going to be called stupid. I'm going to be all this kind of stuff. But ultimately, all that matters is that power returns to the people. Now, I know many of you will argue we can't get any of the investigations done. We can't get this done. We can't get that. Listen, we've been on a kamikaze mission for decades. It's time for the power to return to the people. And if the Freedom Caucus gets the concessions that they want, not only will we have a stronger united front, or they will in the House, but we will as we the people as well. And we should all want that.